There have been tension in Ukraine and in Russia, and people are saying that we are going to see the Third World War. What is it about? What is this tension about? What is this bombing and this war about? Let's try and delve into it. Let's explain it to the tiniest bit of explanation that we can give for a layman walking on the street like me to appreciate and understand what is actually going on in Europe. Guys, this is what they happen. Let's launch into the story. I'm going to try as much as possible to explain this to the layman on the street to understand what I mean. Now, a few days ago, we heard that Russia has bombed Ukraine. Now, to appreciate this and understand what it means, we need to know where Russia and Ukraine is. Obviously, they are in Europe. If you don't know, they are in Europe. Actually, Ukraine used to be part of Russia, and they broke away. Now, why is Russia bombing Ukraine? Ukraine wants to be part of Nato. Now, let's explain what Nato is. Now, NATO is a North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization was born out of the Second World War. Basically, what they did is that after the Second World War, they formed a union where the union members would actually protect themselves from other countries who are so powerful and who want to invade them, and from other countries who are politically stable to actually stop them from swallowing the bigger or swallowing the smaller countries. So that is why the NATO was formed. Let's give an example for us to understand. Now, you know, in Africa we have ECOWAS, we have AU. Now, all these bodies are there to put us in place, okay? So that should maybe Nigeria has a bigger economy, South Africa has a better economy, so that South Africa will not want to bully Ghana, South Africa will not want to bully Nigeria. That is why we have AU, and that is why in West Africa we have ECOWAS, so that the smaller countries would also have a fair share in the world cake. Should something happen, the smaller countries will have equal representation. You understand? So that is why we have the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is there to actually protect the smaller countries should maybe United Kingdom rise up, because they are so powerful economically, they are so powerful with military and all that. They should rise up and say, okay, now we are sanctioning, say, Poland, because Poland is a small country and we want to take Poland to be, we want to take over Poland, let Poland be part of us, so that the treaty, that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization would actually come together, will form alliance and support the country, support Poland to fight against United Kingdom. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm not talking like too much. Okay, let me reiterate this. Now, the NATO is more or less like the ECOWAS and then the AU that we have in Africa and in West Africa. You understand? In that the smaller countries in West Africa will not be bullied by the bigger countries. Let's say Nigeria will not have access to us and say that, okay, because we are strong in oil production and Ghana isn't, we will try to impose certain things on Ghana. No, now the ECOWAS will step in and then will diffuse that for us. Now that is why the NATO is actually there. So if you are part of NATO, it means that you are part of this union or this treaty where there are other countries that would also support you should any bigger country try to oppose or try to suppress you in international affairs and in economic activities and all that. Now, let's explain why Russia is uncomfortable with Ukraine being part of NATO, because Russia is not part of NATO. Now, NATO has, or should I say NATO, yes, NATO has 30 countries. Now we have two countries from the North America. We have most of the countries being from Europe. You understand? So now Russia is not part of NATO. So to my understanding, I'm thinking, well, if you're not part of NATO, why then would you want to bomb or suppress somebody a country that would want to be, or that would want to be part of NATO? It's because Russia has boundary with Ukraine. Now they share borders. And Russia also shares borders with Poland. Now, Poland is part of the NATO. And Ukraine, some time back, sent a formal request to actually be part of NATO. That is when all these situations and all these tensions and this fighting and all this actually began from. Because Russia do not want Ukraine to be part of NATO. But why? It's because if Ukraine becomes part of NATO, then there is a greater possibility that Ukraine would also become powerful. Because then Ukraine would have allies with the NATO countries. So if Russia should say that, okay, Ukraine, you have this, I want it, and by all means, I have to take it because I share border with you. And to appreciate this, you must know that Ukraine is one of the poorest country in Europe. And poorest, as in one of the poorest country in Europe. And then I'm thinking to myself when I heard this, like, Ukraine trains the best doctors. Ukraine has the best schools for doctors, for medicine and all that. In Ghana, if you want your child to be the best pharmacist, they go there to actually study. And so because they are poor, Russia is actually preying on them. You understand? Because I don't understand why Poland shares borders with Russia and they are not attacking Poland. You understand? And Poland is big. Poland is resourceful. If I say big as in Poland has a lot of resources, Poland is strong because Poland is part of the NATO. Now that is what Russia do not want and do not want to accept, for Ukraine to be part of NATO. So if you've actually sent a formal request to be part of NATO, then I must show you that if you make a step to be part of NATO, I must actually calm you down. I must show you where the power lies. You understand? And come to think of it, I was thinking about it the other time, and I said to myself, it seems Vladimir Putin, ever since I started like realizing stuff, and I said, like Vladimir Putin has always been the president of Russia, ever. Like it shows how this man's ideologies and this man's thinking is. You understand? So he's going beyond every effort to make sure that Ukraine do not become part of NATO. So that is the simple understanding. If you're on the street and you don't understand why Russia is bombing Ukraine, and a country that shares borders, why would they be bombing Ukraine and all that? That is the basic reason. That is the basic reason, because Russia do not want Ukraine to be part of NATO. I've been on social media where people will go like, but why are these countries fighting? And pundits are saying that there will be a third world war and all that. And this is the basic explanation. So if you are out there somewhere and you don't understand what's going on in Europe as it stands now, that is what is going on. And if you look at how World War I and World War II actually began, these are some of the things that started. You know, countries started rising up against other smaller countries and all that. And that is where all these things started. So if you're out there and you don't know what is going on in Europe, this is what is going on in Europe. We will keep one eye there to give you exactly what is happening when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. Guys, so if you're out there and you also have any idea, or if you want to share a comment, or if you have any knowledge about what is going on, you can comment in the comment section. Let's share your opinion. Or if you don't agree with me, or I misquoted, or I actually says something that is wrong, you can actually correct me under the comment section. We are here to share ideas. I'm not expecting foreign policy and international affairs and all that. Guys, so this has been What They Happen, the typical news, what they happen. If you enjoyed this one, kindly click here to watch my other videos.